Welcome back, you filthy exiles, and we've got another build list for League Start for Path of Exile 1 for 3.27 here. So a few things that came out of the patch notes yesterday is obviously we're getting Grafts, which is going to be a huge power buff up, basically on par, or nearly on par, with the Mercs from last league, according to the devs in the Q&A. But the things that sort of stuck out were, I think Bama got a bit of a hit. I think things like VFOS or Volcanic Fissure of Snaking got hammered pretty hard. Definitely doesn't have the auto tracking anymore that it once did. But aside from that, like, there weren't like too many nerfs. There's more buffs and nerfs that I could see within the patch notes, and fight me in the comments over that if you want. But as an overall, I think the list of builds that I've got here are pretty solid, and they've been tested through a full league level run through. So there's also that factor of it too. Definitely Wanders and Kinetic Blast Wanders and things like that are going to be very interesting with all the new base types that are being added to the game. So I'm actually going to include one of those in this list. But yeah, anyway, yeah, these builds are all from pretty damn good creators, I'd say. So if you do like their builds and their content, make sure you stop by their channels and drop them a like and a sub. And for the creators in this list, if you don't want to be featured in this list for any reason, just reach out to me and I'm happy to adjust the video accordingly post-edit. But anyway, for everyone else, welcome back to 5 builds that you could possibly league start for the 3.27 league. And let's get into the video. Okay, so the first build we're going to feature here is from Chaco Exile. Now, the big thing about this build is Cyclone got a 20% buff across all levels in the patch notes, so it's going to be strong, this league. And you know what? It's fantastic because Chaco actually has a build that he plays from league start pretty much every single league. And he plays Unarmed Cyclone as well, just for the lols at the end of the day. But it's an incredibly well put together guide and an incredibly strong and quite tanky build. So basically, he's just put out a new video with his build plan, and he's run through his POBs from the last few leagues as well, where he's taken it all the way through to T17s and Ubers from league start scenario. He's got an upcoming guide, I think, update coming out from what he let me know in our DMs a little bit earlier. But basically, yeah, the overall build should be pretty damn consistent. And to be honest with you, like with the changes with the grafting system, it's going to have a lot more power that comes into it. But basically, for anyone who doesn't know how this build works, we'll just have a quick look at his gear setup. So basically how this build works is he's running a Dancing Dervish Reaver Sword setup, and basically he will then trigger like Rampage, the swords will go AWOL and start absolutely destroying everything around you. Now obviously he's got a series of trees here through to leveling and everything, and this is all covered in his guides as well. And then he also runs through like your sort of low budget to mid budget to high budget trees, which is all really useful if you want to play Cyclone. This is pretty much the ultimate resource. Now, he does say like very, very end game to get to Ubers is a few hundred div, which makes a lot of sense because that's usually the cost to get to Ubers on most sort of normal average builds. But that being said, like, you know, you'll have no real issues progressing through the game, especially with more damage across the board. That's going to be a significant game changer here. Anyway, really good guide. All the links will be below to Chaco's channel. So make sure you check his video out and his guide and his build, and follow along and ask him any questions you've got. But otherwise, this would be the first build that I'd feature on this list today. Okay, so the second build we're going to feature on here is from POE Guy. And this is obviously his go-to Siege Ballista Hierophant build that he league starts pretty much every league. He's pretty much mastercrafted how this build works, and it didn't get touched in the patch notes. And in fact, the Siege Ballista of Trathis got a 35% damage buff. And obviously with the graphs, this could potentially be far, far, far more powerful than even how it was in the last league or the league before, which is fantastic. Anyway, so basically just jumping into his guide, he's got a fully stepped out detailed leveling guide. He's actually got a full like POE vault page as well, which runs through how to craft things. It runs through basically the full gear summary, everything that you'll possibly need to know about how to get a ballista build working and working well and successfully. And so that you're not a sucky boy, according to POE Guy. But anyway, moral of the story, really, really good build and really, really solid on a league start scenario. If you also check the comments on his video as well, he's has an overwhelmingly supportive and positive take from all users who have played the build, which is always a really good indicator that the build is going to be a solid league starter at the end of the day. But yeah, I would definitely recommend this build to check out. Make sure you stop by POE Guy's channel, drop him a like, drop him a sub, and yeah, if you've got any questions, sure, if you ask him in the comments, he would be more than happy to help you with any queries that you've got. But this will be the second build that I would feature on this list for the 3.27 league. Okay, so for the third build, we're actually going to go a bit different here, and Reap got a buff during the league. Oh, for 3.27, sorry. And so TFW Starving has a really, really good Reap Hierophant build guide. And basically, he runs through like all the leveling setup configuration. He's got multiple leveling trees, and just having a look through it, it's got a hardcore late game sort of configuration as well. And the whole build can be either played for, your, softcore league or your hardcore league at the end of the day. It has a hardcore setup with absolutely no uniques in it, though, you'd have to obviously work towards and craft the gear and things like that. Now, the other thing too is I'll feature below the video that he put up last league, just around his league starter with this as well. So he's been league starting this for a few leagues as well. So it's a bit of a tried and true build that's been sort of hovering around. But yeah, with the buff that's coming to Reap, and obviously with all the changes, with all the grafting and everything else, this one sort of looks like it just sort of flew under the radar as like one of those really strong core builds that that didn't just like make it into the meta run. So anyway, I'm going to feature this build, and yeah, definitely pop by his channel, and he's just put a video up like an hour ago running through the whole POB and all the rest of it, so I'll put a link to that in the description below, and make sure you check that out. But this would be the third build that I'll feature on this list. Okay, so for the next one's a little bit more interesting, and this is based on some of the changes that have come in with the 3.27 patch notes. So this one is a leveling guide for essentially an Elementalist Kinetic Wander, right? This one's done by Locati. And yeah, I thought this one would be really interesting because, well, number one, he's got a really good leveling guide through this, and he's going to build this out as well. So if you follow through on his videos, the POB will continue to progress over time as well, as he's advised. But basically, he's just like set up a basic tree with like fully scuffed gear, and it works. So yeah, and his video actually steps through all the footage and gameplay of him playing it through too, which is really good when you actually see like the physical test of the metal of actually the build working and getting into a point of substance, and that's usually a good indicator for a league starter as well. But obviously the other big thing here with aside from that, and make sure you check out his guide because it is quite a robust guide, which is good for an early league start, fast campaign run sort of thing. But also beyond that point, we actually got a few changes to the actual, like, obviously we got a ton of Kinetic Wander skills as well that have been added to the game, like Windburst support, Kinetic Rain Impact, Wall of Force has been added in, and then we've got Kinetic Fusillade as well, which is really cool. And then obviously we've got new base types as well for wands, which is blasting wands, kinetic wands, and somatic wands as well. So basically there's a lot of real focus this league around kinetic wanders. And so I would say this is going to end up being a pretty good like foreshadow for a pretty big meta that's going to come out of this because of this. Potentially also with the new assassin rework, this could actually be a really, really strong kinetic wand configuration. So that's a sort of watch the space sort of thing. So I thought I'd put this in there. Number one, because it's a tested league starter. If you want to try something and try out the new skills, then you could potentially apply that to this backbone, essentially, if you wanted to get at that. This isn't probably something for like a really green new player to the game. I just advise as a precursor in advance. But if you wanted to have a crack at it, you 100% could. And I'm sure if you go into Locati's channel, he'll also provide any advice he possibly can to help you. But otherwise, this would be the fourth build that I'd feature because I think it's a really interesting build. I think the videos and the guide's really well done. And also, I think it's sort of foreshadowing what we can expect to see as a new meta breaking out in the league. I could be wrong, but I actually think like Kinetic Wanders are going to be pretty damn popular this league, which will be really good to see, just a full meta shift up. But anyway, this would be the fourth build that I feature on this list. Okay, so the next one's from me. So I was playing around with the idea of I have two builds running for the league that I want to do. The first I was looking at was Earthshatter. So I did a full scuff gear run all the way to T5 maps, and I have done a build league starter for this, so the link will be in the description. Now the beauty of this is Tai Killer just put up his list as well of what he would recommend, and what's really funny is Number 1 is the Earthshatter Zerker, which is really good. Now, the big thing about it is it's big, clear, it can be scaled up, it's very strong early on throughout campaign leveling. At about Act 4 to 6, it sort of bottoms out a little bit if you don't put more into defense, and I didn't, unfortunately. But then once you overcome that, it just becomes an absolute powerhouse. The big thing is the overlapping spikes is insane levels of damage, and it didn't get touched, right? It's super powerful. And beyond that point, you sort of scale out defensively over time. You could play a few different iterations of this build too. You could play it on Slayer, it's totally viable. You could also play it Jug if you wanted more defense and less offense. And you could even play it Chieftain, and it gets about a moderate level of offense versus defense. And it's just a really strong build. Basically, you're setting up like almost all but 2 war cries as automated war cries, automated vulnerability triggers, and or any other mark triggers you want as well. And then you're just running around just like slamming the ground and blowing screens up. And I found it to be like one of the cleanest leveling experiences imaginable. And so I've mapped out the full tree. I've provided like breakdowns for day 1, I think it's day 2 and 3, week 1, mid-tier to high-end endgame, and also mage blood configurations. So if you want to check out the video, it's in the description below. But my other build that I'm going to be working on is Perforate Jug, and I'm sort of leaning towards playing Perforate Jug just to play something different. But in all of this, we don't even know what graphs are going to fully do, and graphs plus the Ascendancy shakeups could mean that like Earthshatter Zerker is just going to be like insane damage and like total meta. But anyway, this would be the last build I'll feature here. And yeah, just sort of, when I made the build, seemed like the right feel for the league. And as far as clear speed goes, you're going to have no problems taking down the breach content with this type of build. But this will be the last build that I feature on this list. Okay, so I hope this list helps for anyone who's sort of stuck for ideas on things to test over the next week ahead of the league coming out. I'm going to put up a second list. Is going to be like more fringe builds that maybe haven't been as tested, or even like legacy builds coming forwards that exist out there. Maybe minions, because minions got pretty massively buffed as well with the 100% chance to hit or always hit stat that now applies, so accuracy no longer needs to be a concern. I'm going to have a Delve League Start guide coming out. I'm also considering how I go about doing like introduction to POE 2 players for POE 1. I haven't figured that out yet. But anyway, if you like this video, don't forget to like and sub to my channel. And for all the creators that have been featured here, again, if you don't want to be on here for any reason, just reach out to me. But otherwise, for anyone watching, make sure you stop by their channels and drop them some love, a like, and a sub. And yeah, this be curation number 1 for this league. And plenty more videos to come. But I will see you guys in the next video and on stream for my Perforate Jug test. Anyway, I'll see you guys later on. Have a good one, and bye.